I've been working in Smartsheet for over 6 years now, and I'm of the opinion that one of the key things that will save you countless hours, I actually think I've saved over 100 hours in the tool, is by learning some of the core shortcuts. So today I would like to present to you the 15 that I use pretty much every single day that are going to save you countless hours, headaches, and just make your entire life that much easier. Now, before I begin, I do just want to quickly mention that I am working on a PC. So if you are working on a Mac, the shortcuts are slightly different. I believe you need to use the command button for some of these. So I will leave a link in the description below to check out a resource to acquire the shortcuts for Mac. But with that said, I'm hoping that most of you are on a PC or a laptop that uses Windows. So with that said, let's delve into my top shortcuts that you simply need to start using. So the first one is copy. So as you can imagine, what you'd want to use this when you want to copy information from one cell to another. So to copy, it is Control and C on your keyboard at the same time. So I've selected the cell I wanted, and now I'm pressing Control and C. The second shortcut, which you could probably imagine I was going to now show you, is paste. So now we have it copied, so Control and C at the same time. We're now going to paste it. So I want to paste this in this particular cell here. So to do that, it is Control and V. So what I like to do is hold the Control button and then press the V button. You can do it simultaneously, but for some reason I like to hold Control first and then press the other option. So that's shortcut 1 and 2, copy and paste. The second one is zoom. So if you hold Control, and you'll notice a recurring theme in this video, you use the Control button for pretty much every shortcut. There's a few exceptions, so make sure you keep watching because you don't just assume everything is using the Control button. So, third shortcut is zoom in. So to do that, hold the Control button and press plus on your keyboard. And as you'll see, it makes everything nice and focused. But you want to get back from that, so shortcut 4 is zoom out. Again, Control, and you're pressing the minus button. So if you've got a calculator on your keyboard, or just an area, next to the numbers, look for the plus and minus for those two shortcuts. If you want to save your work, as you can see, I've made some changes, you can press Control S. And I don't know if you notice, but the save icon then blanked out because it's saved. So if I just bring this down, because I've made a change, if I press Control S again, the save message was there, it went quite quickly, but you'll notice this has now gone out. So if I hover over save, it shows you the shortcut. Let's say you made a mistake and you don't want that information or what you've just done in the sheet itself. If you press Control and Z, it will undo. So I'm going to need to, because I've made a save, I can't now do that undo. Let's say I put this in here. We don't want that. So what I'm going to press is Control Z and it takes it out. So it's undo. But as you would have noticed perhaps there, it will only be able to do so up to the last save. So if you save, then that undo might become unavailable. And in that case, I would check the activity log to perhaps see what's been done if you do need to revert some changes. What about redo? So I've copied this in, maybe I've deleted it out and I actually did want it. So what you can do there is you can press Control Y and that should bring it back. So let me just copy this in and I'm going to undo. And if I press Control Y, it brings it back. That's redo. So bear in mind there, redo only works if you've used an undo. So let's say, that's why these two shortcuts are kind of used together. So let's say I've put this in here, don't want it anymore, Control Z. Actually, change my mind again, I do want it, Control Y. The next option, and bear in mind, some of these will be really, really useful every single day. Some of them maybe not so much, or you might only use them once in a blue moon, but then again, it can save you a lot of time. This one is fill down. So to fill down, it's Control and D. So the first thing you need to do is copy your data, then press Control D. And for some reason, it didn't quite like it. Next, we're going to be doing find. So to do that, it's Control and F. And you'll notice that this box pops up. So let's say I want to find any reference of the word shortcut, I would simply put that in here. If I press next, it's going to take us to a cell where that text is present. If I put replace with, let's just say I wanted to put that in instead as an acronym for shortcut. If I said replace, you'll notice it will change in here. If I did replace all, it would look for every instance of the word shortcut and replace it. So if I do that, you'll see that it has now changed it. But I actually don't want that, so I'm just going to quickly revert. Actually, it doesn't even matter. I'm not going to revert. It doesn't matter. You get the idea. You want to bold something. Let's say you wanted to bold this. That's Control and B. That's the shortcut for bolding, and you can unbold with the same shortcut. So that's Control and B. If you hover over this, I think it will say it, yes. So it will say it here. And a couple of bonus shortcuts, italic, Control plus I, and underline, Control and U. When it says plus, you don't need to press that plus button, okay? It just means you need to do them together. So that's 2 buttons you need to press, not 3. Now, here's a good one. Here's how to select an entire row. So let's say we wanted to select this entire row. To do that, you would hold the Shift button and the space on your keyboard. So that's Shift and space, and it selects the entire row. So it prevents you from having to drag across. And if you've got a lot more columns than this, it's really, really handy. What about selecting the entire column? Well, you can do that with Control and space. And because I selected across, it selected the whole sheet. But if I just selected this cell and press Control and space, it will just select the column with the from the cell that you're currently kind of selected. So I was selected in this particular cell, so it's going to select this entire column. If I was in this cell, it would select the description column. So if I just do it again, you will see Control plus space. Now this one is really, really useful for kind of selecting various rows at a time. So if you hold Control, Shift and up, then it will select the next row of data up or section. So if I start at the bottom here, Control, Shift and press up on my keyboard. So I'm holding Control and Shift simultaneously, and then I'm pressing up. You'll see it's jumping and selecting all of that data. So that's really, really useful if you do need to copy and paste data. The same can be said if you need to go down. So let's start at the top here, Control, Shift, and now press down on your keyboard. Okay, here is an invaluable one before we finish, and it's to open a new sheet. So say you're working in here and I know I want to open another sheet, report or dashboard from this particular sheet. You can do it within the sheet itself. You could use the search up here, although you could press Control and backspace, and what it's going to do is it's going to enable you to open a sheet. So there you can browse through your entire kind of account, what's been shared to you, and kind of open it from there. And that's kind of really useful. Obviously search, you need to know the name of the file itself. Whereas if you were to press Control and the kind of backslash if you like, then you can open any kind of resource without knowing the name necessarily. Really, really handy in those kind of instances. So I hope this video is useful. If it was, please do hit the like button. Drop your questions or comments in the area down below, and do consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. If you head over to my channel, you see I've got an entire Smartsheet training playlist. So if you're new to the tool, that will be particularly valuable for you. I also have a range of courses that you may want to check out. I've got a fundamentals course which teaches the entire basics of all the core functionality. I also have other courses on formulas and dashboards if that's important to you and you're struggling to pick those up. So with that said, I hope you have an excellent day. Okay, here is an invaluable one before we finish. And it's to open a new sheet. So say you're working in here and I know I want to open another sheet, report or dashboard from this particular sheet. You can do it within the sheet itself. You could use the search up here, although you could press Control and backspace, and what it's going to do is it's going to enable you to open a sheet. So there you can browse through your entire kind of account, what's been shared to you, and kind of open it from there. And that's kind of really useful. Obviously search, you need to know the name of the file itself. Whereas if you were to press Control and the kind of backslash if you like, then you can open any kind of resource without knowing the name necessarily. Really, really handy in those kind of instances. So I hope this video is useful. If it was, please do hit the like button. Drop your questions or comments in the area down below, and do consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. If you head over to my channel, you see I've got an entire Smartsheet training playlist. So if you're new to the tool, that will be particularly valuable for you. I also have a range of courses that you may want to check out. I've got a fundamentals course which teaches the entire basics of all the core functionality. I also have other courses on formulas and dashboards if that's important to you and you're struggling to pick those up. So with that said, I hope you have an excellent day.